Hello, folks. Today we're going to analyze and comment upon the Havamal, which are said to be the words of Odin himself, which for sure we know that it was a skald, probably a very talented skald. And this was tra- uh, put here in this format of kind of scripture from an oral tradition. So, other traditions have managed to pass on the oral tradition in a written format. The Nordic people kept very much for themselves when it came to tradition. But without further ado, I've made some comments on Havamal before on this channel, interpretations. But now let's treat this like uh, these are the laws actually and advices of the Nordic society at that time, and maybe we can extract some wisdom from them and apply it in our lives. Definitely, me as a rune master, I have dealt with all the traditions of the world like a true wanderer. I was a wanderer, and I got tired of wandering, and I started to make these videos and to share my knowledge. So you have in front of you a wanderer who has actually discovered the true runes, which are not the mere symbols you find in the books or in old rune masters that had partial knowledge or had religious bias or had cultural bias or had influences or their knowledge was corrupt. So, yes. Even so, let's see what the modern person can get out of Havamal. Let's see how relevant is Havamal for you today. So we go at wisdom for wanderers and counsel to guests. This is how the scripture starts. Wisdom for wanderers. At every doorway, year one enters. One should spy around, one should pry around. For uncertain is the witting that there be no foeman sitting within before one on the floor. So the first advice ever from the word of the Odin, which was a skald actually, is prudence. So prudence before you enter a dwelling. So the Nordic culture is very much about puzzles. It's very much about prudence. The medieval or ancient Viking definitely was not a reckless guy, like some videos or movie series portray them. They were very prudent, very intelligent, very intelligent, maybe even high cultured people because they wandered a lot. You know, Vikings were have arrived to the countries, and the Arabs there in the time that the Vikings interacted with the Arabs were a focus, a big pile of knowledge was there. You know, like the culture of Alexandria library that burned was in huge and immense volumes saved actually by the Arabs. You know, this is like something important to see here. So prudence, and then the next thing we have here: hail ye givers. those that give. A guest is come. Say, where shall he sit within? So find room for the guest. So after prudence, the next moral teaching is to be welcoming. Be prudent and welcoming. Much pressed is he who fain on the heart would seek for warmth and wealth. So it appeals to the empathy towards the guest. So be welcoming and have empathy. Prudence, welcoming, and empathy. He had need of fire, who now is come, numbed with cold to the knee. Food and clothing the wanderer craves, who has fared over the rimy fell. So after this, the empathy is extended towards putting our attention on the needs of the guest. So be prudent, be welcoming, have empathy for the guest and his needs. Take care of your brother's needs after you have made sure he's not a foeman. He craves for water, who comes for refreshment, drying and friendly biding. Marks of goodwill. Listen, this is important. Friendly biding or friendly bidding. More correct said in English. Friendly bidding. Marks of goodwill. So refreshment, drying, and friendly bidding. Marks of goodwill. Fair fame if it's won. And welcome once and again. So we must show the marks of goodwill to the guest. So basically, this is a code of conduct for the guest, for prudence, these are like the most exoteric but day-to-day wisdom in the life of those people back then. He has need of his wits who wanders wide. This is obvious. You need your intelligence to be very sharp if you wander wide in the world. Aught simple will serve at home, but a gazing stock is the fool who sits mid the wise and nothing knows. So you need your wits with you if you are going to wonder wide, but nothing good will come to you if you do not know nothing, even in the middle of the wise man. So being in the middle of the wise man doesn't make you special, basically. Let no man glory, and this is the first verse that I actually like in Havamal. Let no man glory in the greatness of his mind. So here, Odin, the skald, teaches humbleness, but rather keep watch over his wits. So this is meant as said as the guarding your thoughts, but rather keep watch over his wits. That's why Odin said, I fear about Hugin not returning, but more I fear about Munin not returning at all. I mean, Hugin and Munin means the wits. The wits are formed by Hugin and Munin, by his two ravens, metaphors for thought and memory. So actually here he talks about Hugin and Munin. Let no man glory in the greatness of his mind, oh, but rather keep watch over his wits. So guard Hugin and Munin. Guard thought and memory. Cautious and silent let him enter a dwelling. He repeats again the message of prudence. To the heedful comes seldom harm. If you're reckless, you're gonna be hurt yourself. So you see, Vikings were not reckless individuals, that's for sure. Yes. For none can find a more faithful friend than the wealth of mother's wit. So the advice of the mother, the advice of the crone, how she sends silent let him enter. So this is a teaching about humbleness and taking advice from the crone, from the mother figure. Very nice advice about humbleness. So prudence, humbleness, empathy. Let the wary stranger who seeks refreshment keep silent with sharpened hearing. So basically, you need to listen here. If you're a stranger somewhere, do not talk too much. Listen a lot. With his ears, let him listen. He puts accent again on this. And look with his eyes. This is a pleonasm. Look with your eyes, but it's an intentional pleonasm. Because how can you look? Can you look with your toes? No, you can look only with your eyes. Okay, but and look with your eyes. So attention on the senses while you are silent. So guard Hugin and Munin, and attention on the senses while you keep your silence. Thus each wise man spies out the way. Basically, this is a teaching about realizing your true circumstances in whatever given moment, which is not easy because if you speak, you do not listen. Happy is he who wins for himself fair fame and kindly words. But uneasy is that which a man doth own while it lies in another's breast. So this is interesting. How can you win for yourself fair fame? By applying the above advices. How can you win for yourself kind words? Exactly by the same advices. People who study the runes nowadays, they copy all kinds of interpretations and modern interpretations about the runes, and they kind of study the runes and try to practice them and stuff, but they are not applying this philosophy, this moral philosophy in their lives. They are plucking out the runes but ignoring the moral philosophy there. No, man, just look a bit at the moral philosophy here. Like, so, but uneasy is that which a man doth own, why it lies in another's breast. So basically, what you own is what you should own. It's in another man's possession. Happy is he. This means that you deserve praise, and another has stolen it, or you deserve fame and honor, and another one has claimed it. Stolen fame, stolen honor. This is a verse actually about stolen honor and stolen fame. That's for sure. Happy is he who had in himself praise and wisdom in life. For oft doth a man ill counsel get when it's born in another's breast. This is interesting because here two times is repeated another's breasts. Fallen wisdom. You need to give recognition and validation to the one who deserves it. Nowadays, everyone can call themselves real masters, but their achievements are as low or unimportant, and they do not have an impact upon the knowledge of the runes in the real deep sense, profound sense. A better burden can no man bear on the way than his mother's wit. Again, the mother's wit is repeated here for the second time. It seems that Odin, the Skald, actually has a great. So women were the wisdom of women, the wisdom of the crown was seen supreme in this culture. Again, no burden bigger than the mother's wit because the mother's wit is the greatest wit. It is the refuge of the poor and richer, it seems, than wealth in a world untried. Very profound words. A world untried. Of course, because if you live your life in a tower of loneliness or everything is perfect in your life because your mommy and daddy brought you everything in life and you have to, not to struggle for anything, your world is not tried. It is a world untried. Okay. A better burden can no man bear, repeated again, on the way than his mother's wit. So the mother's wit is like this, and no worse provision can he carry with him than too deep a draught of ale. Basically, don't exaggerate. Do not throw away your mind. You must always guard your wit because too much ale blurs your wit. Again, it's a simple teaching for the commoner of those days, but it was a highly necessary one because people that are drunk could not fight in their armies. Less good than they say for the sons of men is the drinking of ale. For the more they drink, the less they can think. This is like an innocent teaching. But for those commoner people at those times, like this is the anonymous alcoholic secret society of Nordic in Havamal, of Nordic origin in Havamal, to make a joke. For the more they think, the less they drink. And it's vice versa is also applied, you know. This is a joke I made. Okay, and keep a watch over their wits. Yeah, so watch your wits. We have also a nice alliteration here. Watch your wits. A bird of unmindfulness flutters over ale feasts, wheeling away man's wits. With the feathers of that fowl, I was feathered once. So even audience says he had problems with ale in the guards of Gunlo's bellow. Drunk was I then, I was overdrunk in that crafty Jotun's court. But beast is an ale feast when man is able to call back his wits at once. So, but best is an ale feast when man is able to call his wits at once. So, no matter what exaggerations you do, at times to relax yourself, you need to summon your Hugin and Munin at once, and then the party maybe it's not so bad for your mind. I like how he says here to summon your wits at once. Hugin and Munin, silent and thoughtful and bold in strife, the prince's bairn should be. Joyous and generous, let each man show him until he shall suffer death. Mhm. A coward believes he will ever live if he keep him safe from strife. So basically here, face the struggles. The more you run from the struggles, the more you being a coward will they will catch you from behind. And but old age leaves him not long in peace, though those spears may spare his life. Okay, this is like a moral teaching for the military of those days. A fool will gape when he goes to a friend and mumble only or mock, but pass him the ale cup, and all in a moment the mind of that man is shown. Yes, one of the most classical tricks in the book, the ale as loosener of tongues. Uh, but from another perspective, the ale as loosener of tongues, there are also runes that are loosener of tongues. And uh, definitely they appear in the sagas, talks about them and songs about them. Even in Trolldom, we have runes or verses, spells, and charms to loosen one's tongue. So this is a highly exoteric presentation, I would say, but it's a good breath of normal air, let's say, from those times. He knows alone who has wandered wide and far, has fared on the way, what manner of mind a man doth own, who is wise of head and heart. So this is very important. Wise of head and heart. What manner of mind a man doth own, who is wise of head and heart. So he says, you have gone a long way to obtain wisdom in the head and heart. This is not something usual, he says here. Wise of head and heart. This is very deep. This again comes down to the Hugin and Munin. Head, Hugin, Munin. Heart, Hugin and Munin. So if you're wise of head and heart, you know the mind of people. What manner of mind a man doth own. So if you're wise of head and heart and has wandered wide on the path of the runes, you know well how to read the mind of people. Keep not the meat cup, but drink thy measure. Speak needful words or none. Only speak what you need to speak. Don't loosen your tongue. None shall upbraid thee for lack of breeding, in if soon thou seekest thy rest. Go to sleep early and don't talk too much. A greedy man, if he be not mindful, eats to his own life's hurt. Oft the belly of the fool will bring him to scorn when he seeks the circle of the wise. So if you seek the circle of the wise, wise in runes, basically the circle of the wise is the circle of rune masters, the circle of the people who are wise in the ways of witchcraft, magic, astrology, and you need to fast. So basically, right now, he says fast sometimes. If you want to learn wisdom from the wise, from the circle of the wise, don't go there with a full belly because you're not understanding anything. Birds know the hour of their going home and turn them again from the grass. But never is found a foolish man who knows the measure of his mouth. Birds know the hour of their going home and turn them again from the grass. But never is found a foolish man, he knows the measure of his mouth. Okay, sometimes the herds of cattle, the cattle is smarter than man because they are connected with nature and they know how to. The sun is setting and they know the way home. The miserable man and evil minded makes all things mockery. So you can understand that someone is stupid because he makes fun of everything. You need to have a sense of humor if you have Hugin and Munin in good balance, but definitely if you laugh at everything, that's bad. Sometimes it's good to be serious, very serious, and knows not that which he best should know, that he is not free from faults. So again, the humbleness, self-analysis, don't think you're perfect. I mean, advices for the man that apply right now, maybe even more than today. The unwise man wins all who smile and flatter him are his friends. So people who flatter you and smile at you are not your friends, my friend. If you come to me and I try to help you and I'm a bit harsh and say what you need to work at yourself, I'm your friend. I'm not going to smile. I'm not going to flatter you. I'm going to help you to be better, but not going to flatter you. Nor does nor notes how oft they speak him ill when he sits in the circle of the wise. Again, the circle of the wise is again repeated. I never heard too much from people who comment upon Havamal about what is the circle of the wise. So when he sits in the circle of the wise, his fake friends betray him and speak him behind his back. The unwise man wins all who smile and flatter him are friends. But when he shall come into court, he shall find there are a few to defend his cause. Yes, when the reality strikes in and you need people to support you in some action, the people who just flattered you and smiled towards you kind of are not there when you need them. The unwise man thinks all to know while he sits in a sheltered nook, but he knows not one thing what he shall answer if men shall put him to proof. Okay? Then, anyhow, we will continue, guys, with our comments upon this. I hope you enjoyed a few bits of Havamal in this short beginning. We have arrived at the verse, the section 26 section. Um, guard your wits and do not loosen your tongues too often.